Hello, this is Dave, W7UUU, and today I'm visiting with Jim, K7EG, in Kent, Washington, and he's going to tell us his amazing story about making it to the top of the DXCC honor roll. So, Jim, nice to meet you. Go ahead and tell us about your ham background.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity to talk. I've been a licensed ham for about 74 years. And all started when I was post-war, World War II, when I was a young kid, and I was listening to AM broadcast stations around the country. A friend of mine introduced me to HF, shortwave listening. Got a helicopter S-38 and started listening to commercial stations. And stumbled onto the ham bands, and that's where it all began. I was probably about 14 years old when that occurred. Went to high school, joined a radio club. In 1950, passed my Class B, which is now general license. A year later, got the Class A, which had a 20 and 75 meter phone. Call sign W9MEI. My friends called me Mama's energetic idiot. That was my phonetics. And it was active through my high school years. Went kind of QRT when I was in college and grad school. And after that, resumed activity in San Diego, California, where my first job was. I spent my career in aerospace management. Took me around the country, picked up a number of call signs as I did, and that's the short answer.
So when did you start DXing as a passion?
Oh, well, yeah, probably when I was in San Diego after grad school. That would be about 1958, 59, somewhere in there. That's where I started. And as I said earlier, I've been at it. I've been licensed for 74 years.
So what were your primary modes of operation, CW?
CW principally, SSB, secondarily, and then digital as a third mode of operation. And I'm over 300 on the digital side too.
What modes did you prefer on digital?
I'm sorry?
What modes did you prefer on digital?
RIDI at first, and then eventually I played around with FT8, FT4 digital modes over the past few years. Single sideband developed very shortly after I got my Class A license, and so, you know, my experience with AM was very, very limited. I don't think I worked any DX on AM. Primarily CW and a smattering of AM phone.
How did you learn Morse?
High school club had lessons in it, and that's how I got past 13 words a minute to take the test.
So thinking back on all of the amazing DX stations that you worked, what can you tell us any stories of certain contacts that were memorable or?
Yeah, and one of the strange situations I had is in the same year I worked Jim Jones, the guy down in Guyana that poisoned all of his flock down there. He was telling me all the great things they were doing down there, and I said, gee, how wonderful, you know. And then next thing I knew, he killed all his people, and I worked the Vatican the same year, so you could say, you know, religion A to Z almost. That's good. That's probably one of the strangest experiences.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're one of the few people, you're actually the only ham I've ever met, I believe, that has worked North Korea, P5, which for those that don't know, it's the #1 most wanted DX entity and has been for many years. So how did that come about? Was it a DXpedition, I presume, and what was it like actually getting through to them?
It really wasn't a DXpedition per se. There was an 4Z4 ham who was doing technical work in North Korea for the North Koreans, and he got permission to operate while he was there, and that probably was only for a couple of months, and they would only give him permission to operate on phone, SSB. They would not let him operate CW. That's why I'm one off on the top of the honor roll on CW, because I couldn't get P5. But there was just a break. It was luck. I knew he was there from the DX shell sheets, and I knew he was principally operating on 15 meters, and I just was trolling for him. And one day I stumbled onto him, and he was pile up, and I was lucky enough to grab him and work him.
Wow. Yeah. Was he on the air a long time from Korea, North Korea?
Just for a couple of months on a work assignment. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was not a DXpedition.
So tell us a little bit about your antennas. You were showing me some pictures of your antenna arrays. Tell us a little bit about that massive 3-element beam you had in California.
Yeah, I had kind of a superstation, which I moved from California to Ohio to Illinois. I had 2 towers, each one about 80 feet. On one tower, I had a KLM 3-element 80-meter beam. That's a 90-foot boom and 3 90-foot elements. And above that, I had 4 elements on 40. On the other tower, I had 3 KLM big stickers, they called them, 6 elements on 20 stacked with 6 elements on 15 stacked with 10 elements. So it was a 3-band stack. So those were the 2 arrays that I had, and as I said, I moved them around the country.
So you actually pulled up the tower in one location and trucked it and moved it to a new location?
The companies that I went with agreed to move all that stuff in order to get me to come with them.
Oh, wow, that's a great deal.
Companies paid for all that, yeah.
So what kind of companies, what sort of work did you do in your career?
Aerospace systems. I started out on the missile side of the business with the Atlas Centaur in San Diego. I transitioned then into more commercial aviation systems. And I was the vice president of engineering for a couple of aerospace companies.
Well, that must have been exciting times during the era you were doing it.
Yeah.
So tell me, since this is a project for the Radio Club at Tacoma, how did you hear about the Radio Club and decide to join?
I knew the whereabouts of it. I was very active in the Western Washington DX Club, and I knew a couple of the guys in there also belonged to the Tacoma Club, and I just decided I was going to support a nearby club.
So looking back, what would be your favorite aspect of amateur radio over the years?
DX.
Well, surely that.
That's probably the straight up answer. Primarily a DX, secondarily contester. I'm not a serious contester, but I have had fun contesting. So DX and contesting is where my focus has pretty much always been. Tracking DXpeditions is part of the game, and being active with on the air DX information stations keeps you current. You know what's out there, and you put in a lot of long hours patrolling for those guys.
If you had an opportunity to give advice to a new DX aficionado, what would that be? What would you tell somebody just getting started in DXing to do?
Don't let the hobby run your life. You have other obligations, family, job, etc., etc. Balance yourself. It takes years to get where I am, and I've tried all along to balance my time. And then as far as the hobby is concerned, get connected with some of the on-the-air DX information stations. Read newsletters. I read Daily DX all the time and kept me abreast of what's going on. That's the advice. And then it's listen, listen, listen.
Well, that's great advice. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. Do you have any parting words for your audience on this video?
It's been a great hobby. Hobby that led me into my profession. And I'm very appreciative for all the years that I have been in ham radio.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today, Jim.
You bet, Dave. Thank you.